Hello down there. I just finished watching the Snow White live-action remake, and now I'm leaving the parking lot on my way home. I wasn't going to see it initially because I'm beyond tired of live-action remakes. I don't like them. I do not like green eggs and ham. And the only reason I decided to go see this one is because somehow there was a lot of hype for it, with people saying it's one of the best live-action remakes ever made. Now that I finished it, I can say I disagree. I apologize for the wacky camera angle here that looks like it's filming a dick pic, but I wanted to just give you my raw thoughts immediately after seeing it. I didn't really like it. I know there was a lot of controversy with the movie. Don't really know what it all was. I didn't pay too much attention. I know the star Rachel Zegler apparently had like some bad interviews or something, and Gal Gadot, people say, is like the worst actress of our generation. Couldn't tell you. All I know is I didn't like the movie. So setting aside the controversy with it, was the film good in its own right? Not to me, it wasn't. But I'm also not the target demographic anymore. I'm a fucking 30-year-old greaseball. The Snow White remake, it shares a little bit in common with the original, but it feels like it wanted to carve its own path. It's a little bit longer than the original, so it adds a little bit more. Not a ton, but it adds things that nobody gives a fuck about. And it really feels like there was two different visions for the film that ended up clashing. So they have the 7 dwarves, but they also have 7 bandits, which I don't get the point of. The only bandit that matters is the main one, Jonathan. Every other bandit, I don't think they even had a name. There was like one scene where they said one of their names, but you don't know who the fuck they're talking about because they have never mentioned any of them by name. I don't know why they're here. It feels like they're the remnants of what the original direction was for this remake. It feels like, at least that's my little fucking tinfoil condom conspiracy theory. It feels like the 7 bandits were supposed to replace the dwarves, but then they decided not to do that. So now you have the 7 bandits and the 7 dwarves, and it just doesn't mesh well at all. Really, most of the movie I don't think meshes super well. There's a lot of new songs in it that I didn't recognize from the original, and I thought they blew ass. I wasn't a fan. But there was a couple songs that I recognized from the original, and they were fine. Those were kind of fun. Like the classic Hi Ho. That was kind of sweet. Truthfully, I just don't have a whole lot to say about the movie, because it is absolutely just not for me. Also, I feel like I'm shouting at the phone screen right now, like I got headphones on. But, you know, it is what it is. It's just, I really feel like I'm at this point shaking my fist at the clouds. I don't see why you'd ever choose to watch this over the original. Like, it's not a bad movie, really. Like, it's not even terrible. I think there's things about it that don't really work for me personally. But it's not for me. I'm not a 6-year-old. But, like, when I'm watching this and remembering the original, like the poison apple in the original, for example, big deal. Like an actual huge piece of the original. In this one, it's nothing. It is beyond nothing. So, like, the evil... So when Snow White gets the poison apple by Gal Gadot, she takes a bite and then she gets the sleeping death. Well, she only stays sleeping dead for like 10 minutes. It was a sleeping snooze. Like, she actually just took a nap because she was only in that state for 2 scenes, and then Jonathan came up and gave her a kiss, and then she was immediately freed from it. So, like, there's never, like, it doesn't even feel like there's ever anything at stake. It doesn't even feel like serious. It's crazy to say this, but it feels like it moves so fucking fast despite being longer than the original, and yet offers less reasons to get invested, if that makes sense. Like, I shit you not, she gets the fucking poison apple, she falls asleep with Gal Gadot laying down all the evil stuff she's done. The dwarves come up and they're like, oh, jinkies. So then they hold like a fucking Viking burial, kind of. They put her on a rock and they're like lamenting that she's shed the mortal coil. And like it switches to the other scene with Jonathan, who breaks out of the castle, and then he immediately shows up and they're still there, like over her body, her corpse. So I think it's really only been like 5 minutes. They haven't even begun the funeral, and Jonathan shows up, kisses her, and she's fine. So like it never really feels like anything's a big deal. So you're kind of just there to enjoy the music more so than anything, which I wasn't liking. And to be honest, while it's just me and you here, I walked out of the movie. And I'm kind of embarrassed to say that because I never walk out of movies. And this movie, like I said, isn't even like the worst movie I've ever seen or anything. It's not even the worst live action remake I've seen. But I walked out with like the last 15 minutes because I was just so fucking bored. I really was just really in a trance, like a fugue state, and I was ready to leave. So maybe the ending really saves it. Maybe the ending ties it all together with an absolute masterpiece, but I doubt it. Now, as someone who starred in the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, I feel qualified to opine on acting performances, and I would say it was fine overall. Like, I actually think Rachel Zegler did a good job as Snow White. Like, she didn't do anything like crazy. It wasn't, some kind of Oscar-worthy performance, but I thought it was really just fine. Gal Gadot, on the other hand, I do not think was the right choice for this role. It feels like she wanted to go like over the top and like ham it up, but was a little reserved. Like didn't really commit to going crazy with it. And then it just kind of peters in this really bad purgatory of just being flat. Like she's never over the top enough that it becomes charming and like Disney villain-like, but it's also not played seriously enough to the point where you like take her seriously. So she's just kind of dull. And everyone else around them, they don't have a big enough role to play for me to give a fuck to even talk about their performances. I guess except for maybe Jonathan. But Jonathan, he just had to be in love with Snow White immediately, and that's kind of it. So he didn't really get a whole lot to do besides that. Anyway, though, that's kind of my review of Snow White live action 2025. I didn't like it very much, but I imagine if you're 6 years old or you just really like Disney live action remakes, you'll probably be pretty satisfied with the film, I think, most likely. Yeah, that's really about it. I'm driving right now and I don't like to take my eyes off the road, so when I get to the next red light, I'll stop the recording. Hopefully you're having a good day. My day's really alright. Haven't done too much today except go see that movie. I guess I don't regret seeing it. I guess it was worth giving it a try. And now I know for sure. Probably done with live action remakes, you know what I mean? A little over a year ago, Disney overdosed on skooma, and their delusion really went off the rails when they finally launched their Star Wars Hotel experience. This was a prime receptacle for spitballs and tomatoes. Boos heard around the world because it was laughably overpriced and extremely confusing on what you were even paying for in the first place. It was initially announced like way back in 2017, and it was supposed to carry a price tag of $6,000 for a 2-night stay, but it could go as low as $4,000 as well. It's called the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and it's supposed to be a fully immersive Star Wars experience for superfans to spend 2 nights in this like underground bunker hotel facility that's supposed to be like a murder mystery, song and dance with all kinds of Star Wars characters, as well as a hotel, as well as fine dining. It basically just takes a ton of different things, threw it at a dartboard and said, okay, it's going in the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and we're going to charge a fucking outrageous price. At $4,000 or $6,000 for 2 nights, I would expect to have a room on a legitimate fucking spaceship. With that amount of money, those rooms better be coming with that titty alien that Mark Hamill milks in the movie. Like, that is a crazy price tag. $1,200 per person per night? My God. You'd need to be like fucking Scrooge McDuck to be able to afford that, or the biggest Star Wars fan in the world who's willing to just dump everything into a 2-night experience. But what's crazy is it looks miserable to stay in. Here's the rooms. Here's one of the 100 cabin rooms. It's basically like a little prison. Like, your children get these small pods in the wall. The bed looks rather small. Like, this is not what you would expect for this amount of money. You go to the goddamn Star Wars gulag. It's so startling. There's no windows. Like, keep in mind, there's no windows in these rooms. All you get is these little screens supposed to look like you're out in space, but it looks really dated. It doesn't seem like they put a whole lot of effort into that, but I haven't been, so maybe it's cooler in person. But there's no windows, so you're basically going in there into like a goddamn stasis chamber there, 2 days away from the world. And when you're not forsaken to your solitary confinement room on the Star Wars Galactic Looney Bin, you get interactive theater out the wazoo, which to me sounds like one of the circles of hell somewhere, where you can't escape theater and people in character for Star Wars 24/7. That just seems way too much. So the pictures I'm getting are from a video from DFB Guides, who went over the entire Star Wars hotel experience, and overall it's just an expensive, confusing, jumbled mess from everything I've seen. And this opened only a little over a year ago, and it's already closing. This was a complete disaster for Disney, I imagine. Of course, I'm not their fucking accountant. I can't flip through their books here and double check. But I just can't imagine at that price point, as well as how awful their marketing had been for it, that it was financially successful for them. They're writing it off as like a business decision that they've decided to close it so shortly after launch, but that doesn't make any sense. That just sounds like a bad business decision if it was doing well. It's 100 cabins, clearly a very expensive endeavor, and they're already giving up after a year. When this shit launched, it had terrible publicity. Like, they made these marketing pitches that gave people no insight into what they were paying for. So people already started kind of wiping their ass with the whole idea of even staying there or considering it. It turned everyone off immediately, and it's never recovered. Now, it's worth mentioning, among the people that have paid a visit to this facility, the majority of them are saying that they enjoyed it and that it was worth the cost. I don't know if that's genuine or if it's some level of brainwashing where they paid so much money that they convinced themselves that they had to enjoy it, thus they did. But people did seem to like it when they paid all that money for it. And that makes sense because if you're a super fan of Star Wars, there's nothing you're going to dislike about it. You're just perpetually inundated with constant stimulation of Star Wars shit, so I imagine most fans probably would have loved it. I still don't know how you could really like the rooms, though. Even in all the videos I've seen and all the people that visit the rooms, they are super small for how much you're paying. You are not getting, like, a luxury cabin. It's very much like a summer camp, like band camp fucking cabin here. I'm still a bit baffled by the decision to have the guests stay in these tight, windowless quarters. Like, that sounds miserable. Why that? Like, what's the next Star Wars hotel gonna be? Pay $10,000 and we'll freeze you in carbonite like Han Solo? Like, this is not a comfortable, stay. Which I think is just ridiculous for how much you're paying to be there. And where you sleep in a hotel, I would argue, is the most important thing about a hotel. Though I guess in this case it's supposed to be more than that. It's supposed to be like a Star Wars experience where you fucking transcend the human race for a brief moment and take a journey into fantasy. But then when you come out from reality, you leave this underground nuclear fallout shelter of the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, you realize you're $6,000 down and about to miss a house payment or something. I still can't get over just how expensive this fucking place is. Or was. The final voyage is coming up in September, so it's on its way out, but still. One other thing I want to mention is when these announcement videos were first coming out, these pictures were first surfacing of the experience, one thing that I heavily criticized was the food. It hypes itself up as being like fine dining, pinky out establishment kind of thing. And the food they were showcasing looked like slop. Actual prison slop that they would serve on a tray at like a maximum security ward. It didn't look like high quality food for that price. It'd have names like the Yakbi Shrimp Blue Milk Glorb Stuffer, and what you would see on the plate is like 2 tiddlywinks of pork and a small piece of bread or something. But after going through and watching more of the videos over the last like 4 or 5 months, the food does look fine. So I don't know why they chose the most unflattering promotional pieces for their food in the beginning, but it does seem like the food is a big hit with the people that go there. And from what I see, it looks fine. Albeit it has the cardinal sin that every high dining facility has, where you get portion sizes that wouldn't be enough to fill the belly of a bumblebee. So that's always, in my opinion, a bit of a scam to charge so much and receive so little, but that's just the trend in very expensive restaurants, unfortunately. I always think portion sizes are important, so if you're paying a lot of money, you should be able to fill your full belly. You should walk out of there feeling full, satisfied, and your gluttony, satiated. But anyway, the food does look fine, and that was something that I was very vocal about in the beginning, being lackluster. Some of you may remember I toyed around with the idea of getting the gang together and spending the 2 nights at that hotel. But we really sidelined that idea, fucking flushed that down the toilet, because that is way too expensive. So I don't think we're ever going to do that. That's not worth the amount of money for the sake of, basically a joke or just to experience something awful. None of us are huge Star Wars fans. I like Star Wars. I couldn't stand the new trilogy, but overall I love the Star Wars universe, especially everything with the Old Republic. This has nothing to do with that, so this wouldn't even be in my favorite era of Star Wars. And none of my friends are big Star Wars fanatics either, so it's not like we'd get anything out of this other than not having fun and trying to make a joke out of it, which is not worth fucking $6,000. So I don't think that's happening. I want to go ahead and clear that up. We're not going even before it closes. It's not worth it. Now, at the funeral for the Star Wars hotel, Disney's trying to put on a strong face, saying that this premium boutique experience gave us the opportunity to try new things on a smaller scale of 100 rooms, and as we prepare for its final voyage, we'll take what we've learned to create future experiences that can reach more of our guests and fans. I'm not on the Disney Superstar Board of Directors or anything, but I'll offer you some free consultation here. Lower the price. No one is paying $1,200 per person per night. That's a crazy ask. You could have saved yourself a huge headache if you just made this more accessible financially for most people. I think that's the way that you reach new guests and more fans, right? It seems like a pretty simple solution to the mathematical equation here. So I think it was just way too expensive. I have no doubt there's a lot of people that probably would have loved to go there and couldn't afford to. So they completely missed out on that entire market. Now, like I said, they are trying to treat it like a learning experience, and I have no doubt they fucking learned a lot from this. They invested a ton into the project, a lot of time and a lot of money, and they're kind of eating shit on it, it seems. So, yeah, that's really about it. See ya. Artemis Fowl is without exaggeration the worst Disney movie I've ever seen, and that's not a statement I make lightly. There are Disney movies I think sucked fat asshole, but Artemis Fowl is a whole new beast. This thing stands atop the mountain of asshole that's been sucked and is an unreachable level. This is the raid boss of sucked ass. It is truly terrible in every department imaginable. Nothing in this movie makes sense. Nothing flows together. The movie's 40 minutes long. It's like a fucking speed run of a movie. And by the time the movie ends, you wonder what even happened. Was there a story? Did anything even fucking occur? And if it did, why? It's just a confusing, convoluted mess of dog shit. It is an entire diaper of dog shit. It's truly horrendous, and I can't even believe that it even got put out. This should have just been scrapped. They should have flushed this down the toilet. Something Chris Stuckman mentioned in his review of this film is the teaser trailer for it was almost non-existent in the movie. All the scenes that were shot for the teaser trailer didn't exist in the final cut of the movie that's out right now. There's only 3 scenes from the trailer that's actually in the movie. Everything else was cut at some point or just never existed in the first place. So I don't know what the fuck happened there. Maybe the movie that got published on Disney Plus is a rough intern cut for it that they made as a joke and accidentally uploaded. I have no idea. But it is an absolute abomination, a repulsive, putrid petri dish of puke. I can't express enough how bored I was watching it, and then how incredibly confused I was around the mid-game here. So, right away the movie shows you that it's not good, and it knows it's not good. The main character, the lead, Artemis Fowl, the acting is truly terrible, and I don't like saying that because it is a child actor, and I don't even think it's his fault, but there was no direction. It feels like everything that was used was the first take for him. Every single line from Artemis Fowl sounds like it's just being read right off of a script. There's no emotion behind it, there's no facial expressions, there's no acting, it's just a stoic, neutral face with every single line. It's like in a video game when the animations aren't loading. It just feels so weird. It's like if I was reading the lines. It just sounds like a script reading. It looks like a script reading. It's just weird. I don't know why that would be the takes they'd use, because I'm sure the kid can act. He wouldn't be in a Disney movie if he's not an actor and can't actually act. So I don't know why they'd use only these emotionless moments for like emotionally heavy scenes. I don't think anyone's gonna mind, but I'll get into slight spoilers. There's a character that dies that you're supposed to care about, but none of the characters in this movie have any reason for you to care about them. They're not fleshed out. They have like no relationships with each other that make any sense. For example, one of the main characters becomes a friend of Artemis Fowl after she's been trapped in a cage by him, and then he lets her out of the cage after a while, and she's like, yeah, we can be friends now. Even though she was 3 seconds ago, the scene before, hating him, absolutely fucking hating him, but now they're friends. What I'm saying is there's no reason to care about the characters, but one of the characters is dying, and Artemis Fowl, well, he doesn't care. Or at least that's how it seems, because as the character's dying, the guy's crying, Artemis Fowl, I mean, there's nothing coming from him. He's just sitting there watching him die. He's like, man, this sucks. Bro, you're dying. Dude, this shit. Man, that's tough. You know what? I'll sing you a poem. And then he sings him a poem, all unenthusiastic and monotone, and then all of a sudden the character's not dead because there's a way to not kill the character that makes no sense, which I'm going to get into now, because this entire fucking movie makes no sense. Narratively, it's a true mess of nothing. Absolutely fucking nothing. There's a main villain that kidnaps Artemis Fowl's dad, and they're only going to get his dad back if they find the Oculus, whatever the fuck, I already forgot what it was called. It's called Oculus, but they say it like Oculus or some shit. So then Artemis Fowl has to find the Oculus, and then, eventually he finds the Oculus, and he gets his dad back, and the villain just goes, no! And that's the end of that. You've only have 3 scenes with the main villain. The main villain is in 3 scenes that I can remember. Maybe 4, I can't. Honestly, the whole thing just is like this fucking fever dream. It actually feels like a dream. You can remember bits and pieces of what went on, but you don't know why it all made sense at the time, even though it never made sense at the time in this movie. Nothing in this movie fucking works. Things just happen. Let me give another example here. Well, first of all, there's only 2 locations in this movie. There's the mansion, and then there's the fairy universe. So they saved a lot of money on locations because the whole movie just takes place at either of those 2 locations, nowhere else. So they really saved a pretty penny on that, I imagine. That and the CGI, because the CGI is absolutely terrible. It looks like we just went back in time 20 years. This feels like a movie that would have came out like in the late 90s, maybe, as like a straight to VHS production. But that aside, the example I want to give, there's a fight on Artemis Fowl's mansion because he's got the important thing, and now the time freeze zone is collapsing. And the time freeze zone collapsing is a really big deal. While the time freeze zone is collapsing, the general of the fairies is getting overthrown by an evil fairy. And while the general's getting overthrown by the evil fairy, the general is getting in trouble because the evil fairy is taking over because he's working with the villain. And time zone's collapsing. The overthrowing guy throws a troll into the house to attack Artemis Fowl, beat the troll, time zone collapse. Now the time zone collapsing is apparently like a doomsday apocalypse scenario. Things go wild, everyone's panicking like, holy shit, this is our last chance to survive. The boy's not going to make it, Artemis Fowl is dead because the time freeze is done. And then in the next scene, after hyping it up and showing how bad it can be, Artemis Fowl and everything's fine. The mansion's fine. Nothing happened. What happens is the time freeze collapses. Artemis Fowl says, we need to find cover. So they run off screen. The next scene, they come out of cover. They're like, damn, that was close. And then right after that, the guy who just overthrew the general fairy says, you know what? You can take charge again. I'm a good guy now. With nothing connecting it at all. He just sent the fucking troll in there. Troll got beaten and now he's a good guy again and they accept him as a good guy. It makes no sense. The movie is a fucking disaster. I'm like, maybe there's things I missed because admittedly I was dozing off occasionally for like split seconds. I didn't want to miss a single fucking moment of this movie, but unfortunately it is so unbelievably boring and uninteresting that yes, I was dozing off a little bit. But that only speaks volumes to just how truly terrible it is, because I never sleep through bad movies. I don't even think about it because I am glued to an abominable piece of media. I love it. But this is on another level I didn't even think possible, especially not for Disney. It is crazily shit. It's truly terrible. Plugging this into the moist meter, Artemis Fowl is getting a wonderful 10%. And let me explain. It should be 5, but I'm going to explain why it's 10%. There is an element of this movie in being so bad that it does occasionally cross into the realm of being enjoyably bad. That is the only thing that is saving it from a 5% on the moist meter, because there is some entertainment to laugh at. And that's the only positive. That's the only positive. And that's really about it. It is awful. That's it. See ya. I was going to wait a little while to talk about this because I have a sneaking suspicion this won't be the last desperate marketing attempt we'll see from this film, but I just can't resist the urge anymore. It's like trying to hold in a sneeze, just trying to fight my desire to make fun of what I just saw a couple days ago. To set the stage, Pixar has released a new film, and it's become the second worst opening in all of Pixar history. It's looking to be a bit of a flop here. And there's a very good chance that you haven't even heard of the new Pixar film. It's called Elemental. It really flew under the radar. The marketing budget had to be like 5 popsicle sticks and like word of mouth. I don't really know what they were thinking here or expecting, because most people didn't even know this was on the horizon here. There was about as much hype for Elemental as there is going to the DMV. Most people didn't even know it was coming, and the ones that did just didn't really care to go see it, so it's not performing super well. And it appears that the higher-ups at Disney are starting to panic. So they're dusting off the oldest tricks in the marketing book here to try and convince people that the film is popular and worth going to a theater to see. Because a lot of people would probably choose to go to a fucking dentist's office as opposed to going to a theater to see Elemental right now. So they're trying everything. And that's when they came up with this absolute shining stinker of a viral marketing campaign idea.
Save it for the wedding. Hey.
Yo, yo, yo!
Before finishing the clip, I just have to call this out immediately. This is a legitimate post from the official Pixar Elemental Twitter post saying, #Claude's got the whole theater rooting for him. Check him out in Elemental. And this is like supposed to be one of those POV things in a theater where sometimes you'll see a viral video during a big moment in a movie where someone gets their phone out to film the audience reaction, like, you know, here's how the audience responded to Tony Stark coming back from the dead, and the crowd's going crazy like, whoa, yeah, Tony's back, wee! And it's supposed to like capture that moment. That's what they tried here with this film. This is supposed to be like authentic, like look at how hyped the crowd got to see Claude from Elemental. Which makes no fucking sense, because this film is brand new. It doesn't tie into anything. No one would know who the fuck Claude is going into this film. And yet, for some reason, we're supposed to believe that the entire audience just blew up. Like, this sounds like they just watched their home team win the Super Bowl. All just because they got to bear witness to Claude popping out of some pot? It just doesn't make any sense, but I love how they try to pass it off like, man, look at how everyone loves Claude. They can't get enough of Claude. Look at him go crazy. And then it's just like stock cheering sound effects you can find on like any royalty-free database for stock sounds ever. It's beautiful. Like, this reminds me of that Morbius clip where someone made a fake Morbius voiceover from the theater where they were filming the screen, and then he says, "It's Morbin time." And the crowd goes like, yeah, yeah! And since barely anyone had seen that film since it was such a box office disaster, a lot of people actually believed that that line was in the movie. Even to this day, they still think that that clip that went viral is real. And he actually says, "It's Morbin time." I mean, sorry to ruin Christmas for you, that's actually not there. That was just made as a joke. Where it's supposed to be like, look at how great Morbius is. More billion fans all over the place. The biggest franchise of all time. And that was just supposed to be like a joke, like cheering thing for that line. That's not real. But Disney's taking that energy and trying to use it as an actual marketing arm for this film because it's floundering so hard in the box office. So let me just play the rest of it real quick before we go back to talking about it.
Anyway, June Bloom is coming, and you just got to be my date. Cause check it out. All grown up. And I smell good.
What in tarnation? That's such an abrupt chaos ending there. That reminds me of like a scene out of a disaster movie, like a Roland Emmerich film in like 2012 when an entire city blows up and everyone's screaming all at once before they all die. That is just like almost haunting. But anyway, yeah. The crowd's apparently going fucking nuts for Claude here. And I love that they even have like the stock baby giggle sound effect, like they pulled out all of the stops. This couldn't have taken more than 15 seconds to make, and it actually might have just been made by one of the higher-ups' child during, like, study hall at middle school. They're actually using it. They're legitimately trying to pass this off as a real thing and marketing for the film. I fucking love the caption, "The theater when Claude finally shows up in Elemental." Nobody knows who Claude is. Why would they be sitting there waiting on bated breath, counting down the seconds for the moment that Claude finally graces them with his presence? This is a complete new property, a new character they've never seen before. Why would they blow a gasket in excitement for it? This isn't like a moment in a beloved franchise or like a cameo fan service moment, you know, like Across the Spider-Verse, where people will point at the screen and be like, "Oh, holy shit! That's Spider-Man Turbo X5 from that 2008 obscure fanfic Tumblr moment. They listen to us!" Ah! Like, no one's doing that for Claude. It's not happening. I also can't help but just love that they even go a step further. Instead of just like pretending that people gave a fuck about Claude, they then go even further where they start making like sound effects as like the spectators during the film. The most annoying audience reactions ever, such as like, "Ooh," when he's like flirting with the main character here, I guess. Like, nobody does that. Like, that's so rare. What the fuck? Just a complete brazen disregard for the audience intelligence to try and convince people that this is real it's admirable. I can't help but be impressed that they're actually trying this on TikTok, but I can't even blame them for trying. I don't even hold them at fault for this, because a lot of users on TikTok suffer from legitimate brain rot. That's going to be a studied phenomenon in 10 years. Mark my words. Put it on your calendar. 10 years we're going to be studying the effect that TikTok has had on the brain and the development of children and people across the world. One of the biggest goddamn trends on TikTok for a while, a couple years ago, was this, where it was like pretending that your hand just went through your other hand, and it blew so many people's minds. That one thing I just did right there has like 10 billion views across all the people that did it on there. So I do believe that this probably wasn't the worst idea for Disney Pixar, to try and convince them that, like, oh man, people must really love Claude. I kind of want to get in on that hype. I don't want to feel left out. And look at how the audience responded to him. Claude must be fucking amazing. This is the second coming of Christ. I might need to get to a theater now to see this. Mom, Dad, let's go. We gotta go to the theater right now. Claude needs us. We gotta see Elemental. Quick, what's the next showing? like, I gotta get in on the hype. It might work. And maybe it has, because yesterday there was an article that came out saying that Elemental is actually making a bit of a resurgence in the box office. So it's still a massive net loss right now. It's got about 166 million total box office off of a $200 million production budget, which you usually double for marketing, but in this case, probably not. They didn't really market it much. So even still, it is in the red, but it's starting to bounce back a little bit. Thanks largely to Claude, I imagine. Claude's doing a lot of heavy lifting for this film, I guess. That just goes to show you the power of Claude. When you bet on Claude, you're guaranteed a win, it seems. Now, I know Mickey Mouse is going to public domain pretty soon. They're going to have to retire Mickey Mouse pretty soon for Disney. Maybe they'll just pick Claude as the next, like, actual Disney mascot. Like, the face of Disney might be Claude within the next couple of years. So I'm seeing a lot of potential with the character. We can clearly see how much people love Claude. Like, goddamn. You know, maybe I'm wrong. I fully admit there's a chance that I'm very wrong, and this is all a very real audience reaction to seeing Claude. Maybe that's just how we as human beings are programmed to respond to something as perfect as Claude, right? I haven't seen the film yet, but I gotta be honest, that marketing tactic's almost working on me. I kind of want to get over there real quick to see, you know, how great Claude is. He's not even the main character of the film, and I guess he really steals the show. But yeah, anyway, I just had to talk about this a little bit. I'm curious to see if they're going to do any other Hail Mary marketing plays for this film if it continues to not do well in the box office. So yeah, excited for that if it happens. That's about it. So yeah. There's a problem that we need to discuss briefly, so please step into my office and close the door behind you and get a bucket out for puking. It's about to get gross. Disney, a name I'm sure you're all familiar with. It's a place of magic, adventure, and dreams. But what happens when that dream becomes a nightmare? And I'm talking about a sleep paralysis demon that's recently been paying Epcot a visit. And more specifically, Remy's Ratatouille ride at Epcot. Remy's Ratatouille has become less of a ride and more... Hello, Io. She heard Ratatouille and, you know, sprung into action. She's a huge fan. But yeah, anyway, I don't know what it is about Remy's Ratatouille, but they are summoning the pervert devil. It's like a full-blown exorcism, but instead of dumping out ectoplasm and a haunted spirit, it's actually dumping out cum. There have been 2 separate instances of park guests going to the Remy's Ratatouille ride and exposing their penis. One of them was actually wanted for other sexual pest degeneracy crimes and was caught on Remy's Ratatouille smoking, watching porn, and masturbating, even finishing a full-blown climax and just dumped his DNA all over the Ratmobile. So he literally turned it into just a fucking cum dumpster. And then the following day, another park guest was getting trespassed outside of the Remy's Ratatouille ride, and during this situation with the park authorities, the guy just dropped trouser, exposing his penis to the public, as if he was doing a show and tell on cock. Both of these cases happened only a few weeks ago, so Lord only knows what we could be in another month if this continues, if it becomes some kind of trend. You know, maybe this is the curse of Remy's Ratatouille. Yeah, it's getting scary out there. But yeah, I thought this was so fucking weird, and I hadn't heard anyone talking about it, so I figured it's our duty here to discuss the important things that others are too afraid to tackle, such as turning Remy's Ratatouille into your personal masturbatorium and ejaculating on this ride. It's a fucking ride made for children at a Disney park. It doesn't get more degenerate than that. It's unbelievably fucking disgusting. Someone mentioned that earlier. Man caught watching porn and masturbating on a Disney ride. Forgot to look it up though. New Jersey man caught smoking and watching porn on Remy's Ratatouille adventure in Epcot. That'll get you every time. I don't even know why they bothered to include smoking. That's like the least startling news here. Robert Fitzpatrick was arrested and charged with a misdemeanor charge of exposing his sex organs. That sounded like straight out of biology class. Was there no one else on the ride? There are warrants for Fitzpatrick's arrest for sex crimes in California and New Jersey. Further details on those out-of-state charges were not included. Disney cast members were first leery of Fitzpatrick when he wanted to sit alone in a rat or ride cart on March 29th. Generally, guests share the cart with other people. It was suspicious that the guest was in the cart alone. Why though? Why would you ever want to do that? Is it the ride that brought it out of him, or just like that? It's not even like exhibitionist. It's like literally alone masturbating in a weird location. Several cast members monitoring the attraction and surveillance room saw Fitzpatrick smoke and touch himself. Twice they stopped the attraction and made a loudspeaker announcement that smoking was not permitted. They should have just called him out by name, like, Ryan, put out the stogie and put your dick back in your pants, please. Just ruin the magic for a moment. Ride continued on, and Fitzpatrick began looking at porn on his cell phone and put his hand down his pants. Fitzpatrick then pulled his penis out in the open and continued masturbating inside the ride cart. One cast member said he ejaculated before leaving the ride vehicle. Holy shit. So this is what he defiled, huh? That sick bastard. Even the rat looks concerned. On Remy's Ratatouille of all places is nothing sacred. Have some decency. Take that elsewhere. Take that to Dueling Dragons, but not Remy's Ratatouille. Please. The rat is pregnant now. I know. And they're gonna have to retire the vehicle. Or rather, they should. At that point, that it's gone through too much already. Don't subject anyone else to the horror. Like, yeah, you can clean the cum, but the cum never fully leaves. The memories last forever. Just get rid of the cart, like a jersey number. Just retire it. Should be noted that although Robert was alone inside the cart has vents open to the public and is constantly being recorded while the ride is in motion. I haven't been on Remy's Ratatouille, but is this not a ride that like turns the carts around? Because I remember in a lot of these, like, I don't know, what do they call them? Like slow movers? Weenie Hut Jr. shit where you just like slowly go through something and look at screens. Usually they have like the carts turn and they, like you can see other riders. Is that not the case for Remy's Ratatouille? Because I feel like at that case, there's a lot of families that got a lot more than they bargained for out of this show. It's trackless, so it does turn. I can already imagine like the parents like shielding their eyes. Oh, Jesus Christ! No, he's also got a chef in his pants and he's cooking over there. Please God. No. Oh my Lord. The following day, Disney and law enforcement dealt with a second incident at Epcot where another man was arrested for exposing himself. There's an outbreak. There's a plague sweeping through Epcot right now. Good Lord. Man, Remy's Ratatouille just really gets the juices flowing. A sheriff's deputy was back at Remy's Ratatouille Adventure on March 30th, where a Disney manager reported that Sherwin Shayagan was constantly causing issues inside the park, the arrest report said. He threw items on the ground when authorities escorted him out of Epcot. Who is this? Sherwin Sharingan? I don't understand. Is this the guy who exposed himself? Waited for a taxi to take him back to his hotel, and the deputy was writing the trespass paperwork when he pulled down his clothes, exposing his penis to those present. That went from a trespassing charge right to like an actual like felony. Pulling your cock out at a Disney park. Jesus. Also been charged with exposing his sexual organs, a misdemeanor, according to circuit court records. This feels like a really light charge. Exposing yourself is one thing, but exposing yourself in a children's amusement park is a totally different thing. Aren't those two... Isn't that like a more serious charge? It's not a huge crime because Remy from Ratatouille was pulling his hair, forcing him to do it. Yeah, imagine he's just been framed. There was also a Disney employee who got fired for filming 500 plus videos under women's skirts yesterday. What is happening at Disney? Jesus Christ. What? Disney employee accused of taking videos of park guests' dresses and skirts for years is fired and arrested. Man, there is no magic left at Disney. Just terror. Authorities responded to Disney Hollywood Studios March 31st after an employee was witnessed recording an upskirt video of a female guest at the Star Wars retail store, according to an affidavit. Jorge Diaz, 26, told authorities in an interview that he had been taking videos of dresses and skirts of unknown females in Disney World theme parks for approximately 6 years. The man just openly admits it? He's like, so you finally caught me. I'm like the Zodiac killer of upskirts. I've already filmed 500 plus videos. Diaz, who worked at the lightsaber store, told authorities he had what he estimated to be over 500 videos on his phone and showed multiple examples of the videos to detectives. This guy, like, seems very proud. Like, happy he got caught. You guys finally got me. This is great news. Here, come check my camera roll. Look at these. He told the detectives he took the videos because it's hard to find them online and they bring him sexual gratification. Jesus fucking Christ, man. Holy shit. Absolute degenerate. Why is his bond only $2,500? He has been released from the Orange County Jail. You best be wearing jeans from now on when you go out around the area. This man's probably got a whole network of cameras set up for those upskirts. They were impressed by his honesty. Man, this guy is fucking evil, but he's an honest man. God damn it. I really don't know how their charges aren't more severe. Like, to expose yourself in public is already bad, and to do it at a children's theme park is much, much, much worse. Significantly worse. And then the upskirt situation, 500 plus videos, this is a serial sex pest. Like, these aren't, this isn't like some goofy thing. This is like actual crimes. Like, the charges don't sound nearly severe enough for what they have done. So I was super shocked to be reading that. Maybe that's just like preliminary charges, and as the case continues to develop, more things will be tacked onto it as they discover more and, you know, go after them harder, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about these situations because I hadn't heard anyone discuss it really, and I thought it was fucking weird. So that's really about it. So yeah. The history of Disney's worst attraction ever, Superstar Limo. I don't know that one. Oh, because this was California. Yeah, I never rode this.
The big cheese. I'm not the big. I wish I was the big cheese. This is the big cheese.
Oh my God, Mickey!
For you all day. Well, I want to give you a personal tour of Disney's California Adventure. Ooh, what do you say we start with a ride on California Screamin'?
So, Mickey?
Yeah, this looks like shit.
You know, Mickey, I think this is the beginning.
Sounds
of a
good,
beautiful
monkey.
theme park.
You betcha.
It wasn't. And now the story of a company in panic, and the one CEO who just couldn't seem to catch a break.
So was Michael Eisner like the worst CEO
It
of
is
Disney
the
ever?
Fun Plan.
Like, this guy seems to fucking suck. He can't get anything right.
2 years later in 1984, it was
Take it
becoming
easy,
increasingly
Queen.
clear that despite Epcot's
Thanks to the recent
success,
8-track.
Disney as a company was not doing well. A string of box office failures from their studio and big budget projects for the parks had brought Disney to the lowest point in the company's history.
The fuck is
and many
Splash?
feared a takeover. In a bold move by the company,
Oh,
then
wait.
CEO and President Ron Miller, then by the company,
Hold on. Is this the, Yeah, hey, wait, I know Splash. When I was a kid, there's a scene in Splash where the mermaid has her titties out. And you can see side boob. I used to pause that scene occasionally. It wasn't my go-to movie, but I used to watch that occasionally to look at titties when I was a young man. I'll just type it in. Splash titty scene, maybe? Splash titty? Nope. That, whoa, wow. I don't know what I was thinking with that. I don't know if I can find the scene, but yeah, it's a classic. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
Apart from the Disneyland Hotel, the Rather Corporation also owned the RMS Queen Mary, a retired ocean liner that was permanently docked in Long Beach, California. After Disney acquired the Rather Corporation, Eisner became interested in transforming the Queen Mary and surrounding land into a new resort called Port Disney. Port Disney was to
Wow,
feature
very
hotels,
ambitious.
a cruise ship dock, and an all-new ocean-themed amusement park called Disney Sea. Eisner pitted the cities of Anaheim and Long Beach against one another, trying to decide whether to build Disney Sea as
Holy
the second
shit.
Disneyland resort or build it in Long Beach within Port
Imagine if he
the
actually
announcement was
made
in
that.
January 1990, and Anaheim and Long
What
Beach both
the
worked with
fuck?
Disney
That looks
in order to bring a new
nuts.
theme park to their city. However, the citizens of both cities were not.
This man was straight building Atlantis.
Citing the issues the residential neighborhood. Eisner had a simple technique that he often used when he decided on new projects.
What
The
will lose
technique
us
is
the
known
most
as
money
jealousy.
quickest?
Whenever Eisner saw another
Classic
company
Eisner.
doing something successfully, he decided that Disney would do the same thing. Moreover, he would take the idea and do basically the same thing in basically the same place. For instance, after seeing the success of the amusement park zoo hybrid Busch Gardens Tampa in the early 90s, he greenlit Disney's Animal Kingdom. The park was just over an hour from Busch Gardens. After seeing the success of the Church Street Station nightclubs in Orlando, Florida, Eisner greenlit his own nightclubs in Pleasure
So this guy
Island
was
at
just
the Disney
plagiarized.
Marketplace. Pleasure Island was
And
about
still
half an hour
couldn't
from
do it
Church Street
right.
Station. So when Westcott was canceled and Disney returned to the
Fucking
drawing board,
Eisner.
it wouldn't be long until, since the Disneyland Resort at the time provided such
His
a
whole
short
career was
distance
just
to
copying
vacationers,
homework
many of the guests
badly.
would go explore the other. This concept would develop into the plans for California Adventure, a California-themed theme park to be located in the already California-themed California. Concept art for the park was released in
Who cares about
1996, a year
California
after
that
Westcott
much?
was canceled.
If you want to
The release date
experience
of
California, just go
Adventure would
outside
feature
in
everything
California.
from soaring above you. In the Hollywood section of the park, there was to be a
Who needs a
recreation of
fucking
the
tribute to
the
California?
observation
What
deck
the
and
fuck?
former restaurant at the Los Angeles International Airport, which was being renovated by Walt Disney Imagineering around the time that California Adventure was in development. This was to be the show building to one of California Adventure's
Oh my god, this word is losing meaning. I've heard it so many
Superstar
fucking
Limo,
times.
a high-speed dark ride that would
Eisner
take
proposed the
guests on a wild
California,
paparazzi
Californiaception,
chase
California in
As
California,
guests
Adventures
boarded the
California,
attraction, They would be greeted by Michael Eisner. For instance, guests would fly past the famous Tail of the Pup hot
Thanks,
dog
Valentine.
stand
We
with
actually
a
watched
large
all of
man
Chains
in
of Love.
rhinestones creating sounds of flatulence. But as guests turned the corner, it would become clear that this was actually Elvis Presley squirting mustard onto a hot dog. The ride ended with guests reaching the Chinese theater, only to have Eisner tell them that he would have to cancel the contract because they had been caught by the paparazzi. Then, a picture taken of guests while on the ride would be shown. cropped into a tabloid reporting on their limo chase. After this, guests would exit
Sounds
and
like
walk
shit.
the red carpet into the Chinese theater, which was the gift shop and exit to the attraction, where fake Oscars, on-ride
These two
photos,
gift
and
subs, butter.
t-shirts would have been
Resub
sold.
Jable.
The original concept of Superstar Limo was nothing groundbreaking, but it seemed that it would have been a fun dark ride that would have fit perfectly in the Hollywood section of the park. However, the mid-90s version of the attraction would not be the one that guests experienced when the park opened. And this time, it wasn't Eisner's fault.
I can't even believe that. Eisner paid him to say that.
In August of
This was
1997,
Eisner's fault.
in Paris, France, Diana, Princess of Wales, was killed in a limo accident. Her driver was
shit.
supposedly fleeing from paparazzi when he lost control of the wheel. The tragedy captured the attention of the entire world, who grieved the death of the princess and the other passengers. As for Eisner and his team, they now had a big problem. Superstar Limo could no longer be a high-speed paparazzi chase.
Yeah.
It would now seem that it was some
Yeah.
sort of twisted reference to the tragedy. The Imagineers scrambled.
Eisner got
briefly
fucked on that
considering
one.
Cloning Unfortunately, if their job was to please the boss, they had done it a little too well. Eisner, who had been in the entertainment industry for decades, adored the inside jokes and Hollywood gags. He
Jesus
loved them so
Christ,
much that he
Eisner.
greenlit the new, terrible version of the attraction. Imagineering, most likely baffled at what they now had to do, did their best to make the attraction work. This art style was
Eisner's a
also
puppy
used
lover.
within the ride itself. The only three-dimensional animated figures would be that of celebrities. But due to the lack of
Oh,
budget,
hey!
these would have to be
That-
celebrities
who was
whose
that, Jared
likenesses were
Fogle? Who the
cheap
fuck
or
just
stars
popped
that
out
the Walt
there?
Disney Company already had contracts with. Also, these were not animatronics, but barely animated figures with minimal, unconvincing movement. At some point,
Who was
Eisner
that?
realized that
That's
the ride
Regis?
was going to be bad. The retooled ride opened with California Adventure on February 8th, 2001. So was it as bad as they thought it would be? Yes. Yes, it was.
I want to see it. Let's fucking ride it, baby. Get me on there with a GoPro. Let's go.
The inside jokes to California and the entertainment industry would begin with a female announcer giving instructions to arriving passengers.
Try not to fall asleep on the ride. That's the only rule.
No schmoozing.
Oh, hey, that was the only rule.
Guests
Fuck
would
yeah.
encounter
Good
television
guess.
screens
I'm a
and
genius.
an entertainment news report. After guests winded their way through the queue, they would approach the ground transportation section of the airport and board their limo. A sparkly, purple, cartoonish limo.
Hey, that
The
looks
cast
pretty
member
cool if you
guides them
ask
into their
me.
cars and tells them to enjoy their premiere.
That's a
Guests
solid
are then
whip.
sent on their way into their
This is
soon-to-be
fucking
room.
drifting around
An
corners.
announcer tells them to keep their hands, feet, and egos in the limo at all times. Ha! The limo enters a dark tunnel.
Hey, don't be
and
mean to
guest
the ride.
agent
What the
appears on
fuck? It's not
screen
their
attached
fault. They
the
didn't want
ride's
to do
vehicle.
it.
The next show scene is the Sunset
cool.
Strip. Here, guests get to see Tim Allen and Jackie Chan.
Tim
After this, guests enter
Allen!
a second tunnel
And
are
Jackie
reminded by
Chan,
their agents
yeah!
to be late. Guests are shown an on-ride photo of themselves before entering the final tunnel, where their agent tells them that they are a superstar. And
Thanks,
that was
Resub0.
Superstar Limo.
And Hookins. I don't know why he called it the worst attraction ever. That shit looked fucking awesome.
Here we go. Now this is not a scary fast ride, right?
No. This is just like a.
You don't get it. You can't just experience it with a video. You have to be in there and feel the hydraulics and the adrenaline of like being in the car as it slowly drives through. It's not the same with just the video.
This is a really easy ride to go on. Yeah. Okay.
JCC in sync. Woo! Let's fucking get it.
Wow. Hold your breath now.
Whoa! Look at how much fun Drew's having. Wow, this is one hell of a ride.
Hollywood favorite, Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, we're having fun.
California.
There might be no better way
Wow.
to illustrate the reaction the public had to the ride than the on-ride photos. It is no surprise that the ride was received negatively, with guests complaining
Can't
that they
imagine
waited
why.
a half hour to ride the cheap pop-up book. Superstar Limo was not the only issue. California Adventure as a whole was berated by the general public and critics alike.
But overall, the lines were so short at times out here.
I thought it was closed.
The new management team constructed the Pixar-themed dark ride, Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully to the rescue. The simple dark ride would take guests throughout the events of the first Monsters, Inc. film, and it was set to open on January 23rd.
Looks like shit. Boo. Where's
But
Tim
that
Allen?
is
Oh
not
wait,
the
Tim
end
Allen
of
actually does
Superstar
voice in
Limo's
this, doesn't he?
story. Oh no, the ride very much lives on.
Tim Allen is in Monsters, Inc., isn't he?
Since the Monsters, Inc. dark ride was a quick fix.
No?
for the
Okay.
park,
Alright.
coming a year
Boo.
before
Fuck
the
this. No
major
Tim
expansion.
Allen.
And there was one more thing. Oh yeah, they
Can't
stripped
click
the
Link
C-list
Sonic, but
celebrity
wouldn't
figures
watch
and
that
dressed
tonight
them into
anyway.
various animatronics throughout the ride. Some of these zombatronics are more obvious than others, and the Drew Carey and Jackie Chan figures are especially easy to spot. But don't worry,
Yeah!
most, if not every, the story is a good reminder that even a company as big as Disney can still
Oh,
get
true,
themselves into
Dan.
financial difficulty, creative gridlock, and even some pretty wacky situations.
That is
On the
pretty
next
wacky.
Defunctland.
Okay, one more defunct land. The failure of Disney's Chuck E. Cheese ripoff Club Disney. I'm thinking the Chuck E. Cheese one as well.
During all of this, Eisner himself would cash in stock options of nearly $600 million.
Holy
Money
shit!
was flying all over the place at the Walt Disney Company.
What
but none
the
of it was going to
fuck?
the company's other major division. Disney Parks had gone on a roller coaster of its own.
No wonder
during
he
the
didn't
preceding
fucking
5
care
years,
about making
and Eisner's
Disney any
proclaimed
good.
Disney decade was
Good
not going
God.
as planned.
Defunct Land is filmed in front of a live studio audience.
Was that
In the
Killer Bean?
1990s, the Wild West of
They get
themed
Jeff Lu to
entertainment.
voice that one?
Apart from the recent themed restaurant chains were sprouting up all over the country, with the usual suspects being Rainforest Cafe, the Hard Rock Cafe, and Planet Hollywood.
Oh, Planet
The most
Hollywood was so
unexpected of the
good.
new developments might have been the
fuck?
rise in
Place was
indoor
great.
children's play places. These were a mix of tubes, slides, ball pits, nets, stairs with steps
Stupid
taller
kids
than your
having
body,
fun on a
socks,
boring course?
socks with holes in them,
Running swing here? I don't think so.
Damn, marketing was so different back then. Holy shit.
I don't think so. Then where?
This is like some TikTok shit.
DZ is made just for me. A place where I can really cut loose.
What the fuck is DZ? D's nuts or something? Like, what the fuck is this?
Think so.
I've never heard of DZ. Discovery
opened
Zone?
its first location in Kansas, opening 39 more locations until being purchased in 1992 by wealthy Chicago businessman Donald Flynn. In less than 3
Donald
years, the
Flynn,
chain expanded
big
to
man.
340 locations. McDonald's had noticed the competition, and in 1991 had created their own chain of indoor amusement
I don't know about
centers
that,
named
Num
Leaps
Nums.
and
It's
Bounds.
too nostalgic.
McDonald's would not be able to keep up with Discovery Zone, and would sell all 48 Leaps and Bounds locations to the company in 1994. Around this time, Blockbuster Video, who owned about 20%
yeah.
of Discovery Zone, went up its stake to
Blockbuster.
50.1% and would assume
Goliath.
control of the company in 1995. And 13 fun centers, along with the Discovery Zone name and logo, were purchased by the company's main competitor, a powerful rat
Oh,
named Charles
shit.
Entertainment Cheese.
That son of a bitch.
America, say Chuck E. Cheese.
Wow.
America, say Chuck E. Cheese.
That is horrifying. What the fuck? I cannot believe this place was successful. This is like actual horror movie shit. Like, that rat is fucking methed out.
Many
Thanks for
locations would be
Sophia.
quickly bought by rival chain Showbiz Pizza Place, which was
Ooh.
started by a Chuck E. Cheese franchisee in 1980. Showbiz Pizza did not rebrand any of the Chuck E. Cheese restaurants, and the two chains would eventually be merged in 1990, with Showbiz Pizza Time Incorporated choosing to go all in on the Chuck E. Cheese brand, abandoning Showbiz Pizza's animatronic band, the Rockafire Explosion, in the process. Throughout all of the
Damn,
financial issues
Showbiz
and
is going in on the
restructurings, there were
technology
still over
there.
250
Those animatronics
operating
look smooth.
locations in 1992. It was around this time that the Walt Disney Company took note of the success of these companies. While they might have been late to the game, they expected to fit right in. After all, Discovery Zone had been described as an indoor Disney World, and Chuck E. Cheese's used Disney as a major inspiration during its development.
One zone.
If Disney utilized the same concept, implementing their attention to detail and intellectual properties, they could dominate the new market.
And dominate they did.
One day, Michael Eisner himself walked in looking to purchase some items for Disney. The fact that the CEO of one of the world's largest corporations was concerned with something as small as furniture was a true testament to Eisner's micromanagement. Levitt and Eisner apparently hit it off, and he was quickly named Director of Corporate Projects and Executive Assistant to Eisner. During his first tenure with Disney, he would also become an executive in charge of
Just because he
overseeing
fucking
Walt
gave him an
Disney World's
over-the-pants
off-property
hand job at a
resort
furniture
and
store?
entertainment locations,
What?
including the Disney Village Marketplace and its Pleasure Island nightclub district. Levitt came up with the idea for an ESPN-themed restaurant to be placed on Pleasure Island. In 1993,
How do you even convince the board of directors to accept that?
A company that
I was shopping for
operated multiple
furniture, and you
Hard
gotta
Rock
meet this
Cafe
guy,
locations.
Art Levitt. I mean, he was,
Just
so,
2
he was such a
years
nice
later,
guy. He gave
would
me like a
return to
fucking
Disney,
fist bump and shit.
equipped with new expertise
Yeah, I'm gonna
on
put him in charge of our whole
location-based themed
company.
Entertainment, an area for children under 3 called the Pooh and You Corner, a storybook time, and a variety of arcade games.
Cool name.
At some locations, there was a Little Mermaid themed
Alright,
area,
I'm just gonna go play
where
in the
kids
Pooh and
could,
You.
Quote, some locations had a magician performing tricks as Merlin, and the cake for
Ooh.
the parties was catered by the
What?
Cheesecake Factory. A child
That's
could
actually
only enter
nuts.
Club Disney with an adult, and both were given a
Cheesecake
special
Factory
wristband with a
bangs.
barcode.
I mean, that's
So
like
no child could leave with
if
a
you don't know
different
what you
adult
want to
than
eat,
the
you
one
go to
they
the
came
Cheesecake
with.
Factory
This
and you
was
get a
to
whole
ease the
fucking
minds of
dictionary
parents,
full of
to
pages
allow
and
the
pages
kids
of
to roam
shit to
free
eat.
within the complex,
So
and to
many
ensure
different
that
food
no
items,
parents
all
treated Club
20,000
Disney as a
calories.
daycare center. The head of attendance calculating at the Walt Disney Company estimated that over 10,000 visitors would show up on opening day. And surprise, he was a little off. When Club Disney opened its doors on February 21st, 1997, only 1,000 visitors showed.
Oh,
proving that
shit.
No one had learned anything from Euro Disneyland's opening. One sheriff was quoted saying, "We were expecting a lot more people. Maybe because Disney advertised that tens of thousands were going to be here, it
That's
scared
rough.
people away." While reviews were positive, Club Disney was not without its critics. One of the higher-end malls that Club Disney had moved into accused Disney of ignoring the complex's theming standards by implementing their cheesy design. Also, parents complained about the price of admission, especially the necessity for a separate adult ticket, as they were not participating in the club's activities and were required to be there.
True.
Club Disney
It's pretty
also
scummy.
proved that Disney was best off not teaching anything ever. The company was cutting costs across the board, and Club Disney became another casualty of the financial issues. The chain was closed on November 1st, 1999, having never expanded past its original 5 locations.
Jesus Christ.
This was around the same
That's
time
rough.
that Discovery Zone ceased its operations, leading many to believe that
Exit
indoor
5 gift
play
subs,
centers were
Axis.
just a fad of the 90s.
Appreciate it. Thank you for the
As Chuck E.
generosity.
Cheese's would prove, there is some longevity to the concept, so long as you innovate or evolve. As for Disney Regional Entertainment,
Chuck E. Cheese
Club
hasn't
Disney
fucking
would be the
evolved. What are you
smallest
talking
of their
about?
3 projects. Another
Why is it
regional
still
chain
fucking
Levitt
weird?
would create was
ESPN
the complexes were
Zone.
part bar,
What a cool
part
place
restaurant,
to be.
Part arcade, part gift shop, and part broadcast studio. It was such a hit among sports fans
Exit
that there
5
were
gift subs
apparently
sucks,
points where
and the
guests
5
would have
gift
to be
subs
dragged
man didn't
out for
start.
staying an
The
excessive amount
back-to-back
of
gift
time.
subs.
The ESPN Zone would also put on the ultimate couch potato competition, a sitting competition that challenged participants to watch TV without falling asleep or getting up, only allowing a bathroom break every 8 hours. One year, the winner
What?
watched TV for 3 straight days.
What the fuck? Wait, what?
ESPN
No
Zone
way
would
someone
begin in
didn't die
Baltimore
from
on July
deep vein
11th,
thrombosis.
1998.
No way.
The brand would grow to a total of 9 locations.
I make a lot of predictions. 9 times out of 10, they're wrong. Not proud of that, wish I was better at it, but, you know, I'm no Baba Vanga. Because if I was, I'd have every prediction be wrong. So, I'll take the occasional victory. And one thing that I predicted and have been proven right about time and time again over the years is that once you reach a certain level of status in any given industry, it is impossible to fail. You only fail upwards. Not exactly a prediction, more so just a hard truth where once you're an elite member of an industry, you can't get knocked down at all. It's impossible. It's like fucking Derek Zoolander, but instead of being unable to turn left, you're unable to go down. You're unable to like look downwards. You can only continue to fail going up the ladder. It's incomprehensible. It is a phenomenon that defies all logic. Why would someone who is bad at their job, a terrible leader that leads companies into financial ruin, just draining them of ham, like constantly just hemorrhaging money, bleeding out, why would that person continue to land new jobs in equal or higher power than their previous one? Anyone else who is bad at their job gets fired. They get let go. But not when you become like a CEO, a COO, or anything to that level. You just go to another company as a COO or a CEO. The perfect textbook example of this is still John Riccitiello. He was the CEO of EA for a little while. He rose to infamy when he pitched this absolute fucking heater of an idea. I'm talking galaxy brain like 5D chess move where he pitched the idea of charging gamers for ammo. So if you ran out of ammo in a Battlefield game, there'd be like a pop-up that would say you need to pay $1 for your next magazine. Like that was his idea. Like I don't think he was ever fully going to go through with that, but that was the example he gave on how you can constantly be like milking the titty of everyone who buys an EA product. He was too greedy for even EA, so he was let go and then landed a job at Unity. He became CEO of Unity, and I know you remember how disastrous that was because he nearly drove that company into the fucking ground. He nearly banished it to the Shadow Realm with how horrible his leadership was there. And there's plenty of examples of this. I still think he's the best. But why I'm talking about it today is because Disney just announced that it's looking at candidates for the CEO position since Bob is leaving again. And one of the people they're considering is the EA CEO, Andrew. They're looking at Andrew at EA.
What in tarnation? Why on God's green earth would you be putting your peepers on Andrew Goober Wilson for the CEO position of Disney? EA has been one of the most consistently hated companies in the world for over a decade now. If Umbrella Corporation was a real entity, it would probably have a better reputation than EA currently does. It is a company that no one likes, except for shareholders. So Andrew Wilson has done a good job at EA for shareholders and nobody else. And you know what Disney really needs right now? Is a good reputation with anyone that's not a fucking shareholder, because people are getting really tired of what Disney's been shitting out. They have been pooping out slop, and a lot of people are tired of the stink. They're tired of smelling the shit. So Disney, I don't think, is needing an Andrew Wilson, cartoon villain here that's going to... Andrew Wilson, the reason why I said he's good for shareholders is because the EA price under him has raised pretty significantly. But I feel like Disney right now, what they really need is some slam dunks in products and properties that people really start to like again, because they are missing that entirely. Star Wars, for example. Holy Lord, what a fart in the wind. Most people don't care about Star Wars at all anymore. Most people roll their eyes when it comes to Star Wars. Like, look at Outlaws. That was an open world Star Wars game. Of course, it did have Ubisoft on there, so it was already doomed for mediocrity out the gate. But nobody was hyped for Star Wars Outlaws. Like, there was a time when Star Wars was a guaranteed home run. Now, most of them are flopping. At least from what I can tell, like the Acolyte, that was what, $230 million budget, and it raked in, according to the most recent financial reports that I can find online, $46 million. So it lost like a total of $180 million. Like, come on, let's put on our thinking caps right now. It's not an issue of, oh my God, we need to start figuring out ways to nickel and dime the remaining customers we have. The solution is, how do we start making quality products again that people actually want to watch or purchase or get engaged in? Like, grow up. Like, God, Jesus. Andrew Wilson is not the solution to that problem. Andrew Wilson is not the one that people are going to be, like, excited for at the helm of Disney. People don't like him because people don't like EA. Now, to give credit where credit is due, I vaguely recall Andrew Wilson pushing back against some investor-led horrible ideas in a bad direction for some of the titles over the last decade or so. I'm foggy on the details, but I do remember reading about it a while back that he did actually make some decisions that I think it was something about like allowing the developers a little more creative freedom under the EA umbrella. Again, I don't remember all the details, but it's not like he's been nothing but mustache twirling evilness. But first and foremost, Andrew Wilson's priority is not good games. Never has been. It's been figuring out the live service model, because I believe it's 71% of EA revenue comes from live service games. So it's always been trying to figure out the way to maximally monetize every single person who sits down to play an EA game. And there have been some good games that have come out over the years, and even live service games like Apex Legends from them. But overall, and Apex Legends is unfortunately getting run into the ground in recent times, but overall, Andrew Wilson is not a CEO that I think anyone thinks of and looks at as someone who actually cares about delivering quality products. It's about delivering big returns to the investors first and foremost, and that's about it. And I feel like in Disney's current state, they need someone that actually wants to start pushing them forward into good shit again, instead of just the same recycled formulaic garbage that they've been doing for the last, I don't know how many years, but they've just been on autopilot for a little while, going through the motions, and now it seems like, it's getting to that point where something's got to give. Like, they've got to start changing something, and they're looking at someone like Andrew Wilson to maybe be the leadership to do it. I don't think he is. I really don't. And in all fairness, this isn't really an example of someone failing upwards. I mean, he definitely failed in making EA a company that anybody respects. Like, EA is constantly spit on, but he hasn't failed in a financial sense or failed to the same degree as other CEOs like John Rizzitiello. So it's not failing upwards per se in this case, but it is still just weird to me how he'd even be considered for this position. Like, I don't understand why the pool of candidates is so small that you're always seeing the same names over and over again, even if they have a resume of stinkers. Another great example, and sticking on the Disney topic, is they have greenlit a new Star Wars trilogy, and they've already chosen who's going to be the writer and producer. It's someone named Simon Kinberg. And if that name rings any bells, it's because you probably still have trauma from his extraordinarily embarrassing pile of garbage that many consider to be one of the worst comic book movies ever made, Dark Phoenix, where he was the writer, producer, and director. Going through his entire catalog here, where he's only directed a couple of films, but he's been a writer and producer for a long time, it's more misses than hits. Like, XXX State of Union, I loved it when I was a kid. I don't know if it's aged well. But he also did X-Men 3, The Last Stand. Another absolutely despised movie. But then there's something good in there with Jumper. There's the Sherlock Holmes movie, which some people liked, some people didn't. First Class, which was good. Then Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Oh my god. Like, just look at this resume. Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four. Again, one of the comic book movies that people to date still believe is one of the worst ones. In fact, among like the top 5 worst comic book movies ever made, Fantastic Four and Dark Phoenix are on every single list. This is the Fantastic Four film from 2015 that had the number 4 in the name, not the like old one with Jessica Alba. And he was not only a writer and producer on both of them, but even directed one of them too. Like, his resume isn't very good. Like, the good movies that he's a part of, he's usually a producer on, not a writer-producer on. Was this really the best possible writer-producer they could find for a new trilogy of Star Wars films? I don't think so. I don't understand how someone that has a resume like that, with so many super stinkers like Dark Phoenix and Fantastic Four and a couple of others on there, get chosen to make something like this, the new Star Wars trilogy. Like, it's not like those movies that he'd written and produced were just received terribly by the audience. They were turbo box office bombs that lost the studios millions upon millions of dollars. Now, I do understand that he helped co-create Star Wars Rebels, which does have a positive reception from what I can tell. I've never watched Rebels, but I do know the name. But even still, if you look at his resume, I don't think this was necessarily the best possible choice to spearhead a new Star Wars trilogy operation. That doesn't really get me salivating thinking, oh, this could be like a good Star Wars new trilogy. Like, I just don't have that impression because I'm familiar with a lot of his work and most of it's trash. It just really seems like if you somehow break through to that level where you're a writer-producer on a Hollywood project, it doesn't matter what you do from that point forward because you will always still somehow be able to find work of equal or greater level. And I just don't get it. Because it's not like by merit or anything. It doesn't seem like, from what I can tell, Simon was the one that was like pitching Disney on this and they just really liked the direction, so they said, okay. It seems like it was Disney that chose Simon to write and produce for them. So, like, it's not like he did anything extraordinary, that he has a great idea and a great script and everything that Disney just had to buy. It just, I don't get it. I really don't understand how failing upwards is even a thing. And yeah, I just had to rant about this a little bit because I'm so tired of seeing like the same names that have been in the industries for so long and have done so many things wrong continue to get huge positions at companies going forward, because then there's nothing to be like excited about. Like, for the future of Disney, if they choose Andrew Wilson, it's not like I think there's going to be some kind of drastic change. I feel like it's just going to be business as usual, but emphasis on the business, where Andrew Wilson's going to be prioritizing like cutting jobs, reducing staff, and trying to maximize monetization on like Disney Plus and all of that. Not exactly an emphasis on, let's start making some really quality stuff. I could be wrong. I guess we'll find out if they go with Andrew Wilson, what direction he takes it. But it's someone whose work I am familiar with, and that is what he is known for. He is the shareholders' hero, but the gamer's pariah. Because nobody likes EA. It has a terrible reputation. So, again, he's not exactly an example of failing upwards per se, because he hasn't failed, but it does just, like, this whole topic is something I just wanted to speak on, because it is common for people that do fail at, like, a high level to continue to just keep getting more and more and more and more power and bigger positions. It's silly. So, yeah, that's really about it. So, yeah. Disney adult. If that didn't just jump scare you and send a shiver down your spine, then you've either never heard of a Disney adult, never met one, or you're not human. Because you should be afraid. Very afraid. Now, of course, not all Disney adults are built the same. There's different levels of it. I'm talking about the most extreme level of completely obsessed to the point where it becomes their entire life and identity. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with being a fan of Disney products as an adult. I like a lot of Disney things. But there's a big difference between greaseball, goofball, goblin man Charles and a Disney adult that's willing to uproot their entire life just to be closer to the theme parks in order to go every single day. You may think that this is some kind of crazy exaggeration that doesn't happen, but it does. more often than you think. There are a large number of seemingly totally normal people that for some reason have been completely brainwashed and perpetually spend a large chunk of their paycheck consuming Disney products or just going to Disney properties way more often than any reasonable person should. It's so weird. And Disney knows this, which is why they've now recently announced that they're building their own community, their own neighborhood, basically, for Disney adults to go live together and be part of the Disney family forever. Even just the marketing material give me the heebie-jeebies, saying that this is going to be the best chapter of your life, like forever. I don't know, that's eerie sounding. Visiting a Disney neighborhood sounds worse than visiting hell. At least the demons and devils in hell aren't pretending to be something they're not. Because Disney is an evil corporation. I don't care how you spin it, no matter how big of a fan you are of Disney properties. Disney as a corporation is one of the greediest, shadiest, and just downright deplorable companies there is in the world. For a company that's supposed to be all about magic and being the happiest place on earth, the only time Disney seems to be at its happiest is when they're magically face-fucking you with their insatiable gluttony to shake you down for all of your lunch money and keep you perpetually suckling on their teat, consuming only their milk. It is a scary company. I'm not here to really get into the weeds of all of the awful things Disney has done since its inception, but I do want to get into the weeds of the neighborhood here because I find this to just be like a dystopian idea where corporations like Disney are going to start building their own communities. In my opinion, it's just an alarming idea. But anyway, the first one from Disney here is being pitched as story living, and there's no information on pricing that I can find at the moment, but since it's Disney, you can bet your sweet bippy it's going to be overpriced. You'll be paying 7 figures for a 1-bed, 1-bath, 400 square foot crack shack without a driveway, because in the Disney neighborhood, you use magic to get around or some shit. Like, you're gonna overpay for your property in the Disney neighborhood, I imagine. But one thing that really stands out to me is in the pitch here, they have this legendary service notice where it says, at Cotino Community, which is the first part of Story Living, cast members will strive to deliver the same friendly Disney service you've come to expect. This was super odd to me. What do you mean cast members? It's a neighborhood, right? I've lived in neighborhood communities my entire life, and I've never seen NPCs wandering around checking in on me, making sure I'm abiding by rules and regulations, asking me questions. This sounds more like spies. And the whole idea of this neighborhood is actually bigger than I thought it was. It's not just a residential community. This is basically a place that they're building for people to go to die. In addition to having housing from Disney, the community is seemingly isolated from the rest of the world, just locked into this one fucking dimension over here, like where Squidward went to be all alone, but this time it's only for the most obsessed Disney fans. So you would have property in the community, and the community itself also has stores and restaurants and like activities and events all held within that neighborhood, as well as like a beach that you have to pay for access to as well, even as a community member. So it really feels like this is where people would go and then not leave. That's the design of it, because why would they? Everything they need is there, and it's all Disney approved, and you love Disney, so why not just go spend your entire life here and make sure you empty out your piggy bank the entire way before you shed the mortal coil? They have like a proposed 55 and older only community as well. So to me, it really just seems like they're trying to build the one-stop shop for Disney adults to go to die. Like, spend the rest of their life, spend all of their money on Disney and Disney only, so that way it doesn't go elsewhere, so that way they can have it all. And it's just so weird. I think it's such a fucking weird idea. So I went over it a little more on stream last night. I'll show you a couple clips of that before hopping back in for a bit more analysis. Have you heard about the city Disney is building called Story Living? Talking about the Disney neighborhood? That's got to be the worst place on earth. This place would be absolutely miserable to live. Imagine being in a Disney-only community. Have their own police force. The HOA would go crazy. Smiles mandatory. If not, you get executed in the town square. I wonder if you're allowed to have Netflix there. Oh, no chance. That'd be a crime punishable by death in Disney Story Living or whatever. The housing's too expensive. No one's going to buy these. You don't know Disney adults. Disney adults will actually trample each other just for the chance of living in a Disney neighborhood.
Touched the hearts and minds of people around the world for nearly 100 years.
Okay, stop sucking your own dick. Just show me the neighborhood.
By our world-class Disney cast. As Imagineers, story is at the heart of
I still think
everything
it's
we
so
do,
cute they
and
call
we love
themselves
bringing authentic
Imagineers.
places to life to immerse you in the. This exciting new venture will enhance, extend, and strengthen the Disney brand by allowing us to bring the magic of Disney to places you may never have expected.
Surveillance. We enhance the Disney brand by spying on you. We own you. You live in our neighborhoods and you are literally our property.
Community is something truly special.
We're exploring
Nightmarish
a variety of
is the word I'd
locations in
use.
the U.S. for our story living by Disney here in the community of Rancho Mirage, just
Is this like
outside of Palm Springs,
WandaVision?
California.
Kind of.
And I'm excited to
But
announce that our
worse.
first Story Living by Disney community will be located in experienced home builders at each site who contribute their talents and expertise to each community.
But yeah, that's the gist of it. It's not really like Celebration. This is legitimately a Disney neighborhood. And I imagine those houses are going to come pre-built with some kind of surveillance or data harvesting program. Charles, I noticed at approximately 8:45 p.m. this evening you weren't smiling. Is something the matter? Do we need to have you re-educated? Be happy or else. It's not even so much about be happy. It's more consume forever. Consume or else. Do we need to send the Imagine police to have a talk with you? Oh, the police won't be imaginary. Those aren't Imagineers in uniform, I'll tell you what. Disney's absolutely going to have like a paramilitary force. They are going to lock this shit down. You can get in, but not out. No, you can get out too the second you can't afford to live there anymore. Or if you make the mistake of trying to download a competing streaming service. Contraband at the Disney neighborhoods is going to be like smuggling in a DVD of like Boss Baby or something. An animation that's not Disney. Disney wants to own human souls themselves. At least the Disney adults will all be in one place so we can avoid them. I mean, yeah, it'd be kind of like a quarantine zone for like the most brainwashed Disney adults, I suppose. And actually, I do wonder if they'd even be allowed access to the rest of the internet. I really imagine this Disney neighborhood being complete lock and key. Like, your days are designed for you. You're restricted access to a bunch of different things. Yeah, it'd probably just be like an intranet for the neighborhood. Because, I mean, if they give you unrestricted access to the internet, you could be leaving a negative review about the housing situation. You could be saying less than favorable things, and they can't have that. You should go there when built. Man, fuck that. That'd be going to like a Scientology church. That's scary. Let's go ahead and play around a little bit here, because I don't exactly know how this neighborhood's going to go, but knowing Disney, I think this could end up being like one of the most outrageously strict places on the planet. I really feel there's a non-zero chance that they will outright forbid anything that's not Disney or Disney adjacent. Like, they won't have direct competition. I wouldn't be surprised if you can't even Amazon Prime packages into your Disney neighborhood house. Like, they probably would just turn them away at the door or something. You can only order through Disney pre-approved services. I really think that that's not out of the realm of possibility, because it seems like they're going to really own this neighborhood. Everything is going to be Disney related. Like I said, the cast members thing really throws me for a wild loop, because that just seems like actual simulation cult shit to a certain degree, where you will be monitored. Like, it seems like it's going to be constant surveillance from the cast members on their community. I also do think there's a non-zero chance that there will be some expectations on their residents as part of like an HOA agreement where they'll attend Disney events or Disney hosted celebrations within the community and shit like that in order to get them active in the community or something, and they'll probably spin it as like, you gotta really embrace the magic. You're living in the Disney neighborhood, damn it, so come to all of our events. Why are you here if you don't want to be? You know, get over here, come to the events, in order to try and get them on the hook to start spending more money on Disney-related shit and continue the brainwashing. If you're already living in the Disney neighborhood, if you paid to be there, you're already pretty brainwashed, but this is like another level. This is a completely different level where you are just completely submerged in Disney and Disney only, cut off from the rest of the world. Also, worth noting real quick, Disney has tried something similar before with a place called Celebration, which is like, it's pretty similar to what they're pitching here with Story Living by Disney, but it completely failed. Celebration completely failed. it was a disaster for them, and I think they no longer have Celebration as like a Disney thing anymore. I'm not entirely sure. It's all kind of messy, but it was a failure on Disney's part to do this in the past. But they're trying again. They're saying, you know what? What about Second Breakfast? That was so good, I want to try it a second time. And they're going with Story Living this time. But they've broadened the scope, and they want to create all of these amenities for the neighborhood. And to me, it all just seems like control. Like, they just want to control all of your spending, then make sure it all goes back into Disney's pockets. This shit is scary. Also, I read something from Celebration back when it was still Disney's, where apparently the HOA was so fucking evil that they had some kind of clause where they could legally tell you that you have to get rid of your pets if they're deemed a nuisance or something. I only read a little bit about that from Google, so take that with a grain of salt. That could be all anecdotal and completely incorrect. But I wouldn't be surprised if Disney really did have something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised they have something like that in Story Living by Disney when they do build this. I really do think it'll probably be one of the most awful places to live. Truly. Even as like a Disney adult, if you're a huge fan of Disney, I think living there would make you fucking hate Disney too. But yeah, anyway, I just want to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. Alright, let's just get this out of the way, rip the band-aid off so you can all point and laugh at me, spit at me, call me names, and give me wedgies. I'm not Percy Jackson. I didn't get the role. Disney Plus finally released their trailer for the upcoming Percy Jackson series, and just like Batman's parents, I'm not there. They made the inexplicably disgusting decision to not cast me as the lead role, even though I put forth probably one of the best auditions Hollywood had ever been graced with. I'm not going to pretend to understand why they chose to cast an actual child to play Percy Jackson. I understand that Percy Jackson in the books is like 12 years old, but it's called acting. Yes, I may be a 28-year-old man, but thanks to the miracle of technology, we can de-age me a bit. I can shave, trim up my hair. I already have the height of a child. I should have been able to fit the bill. And no disrespect to the actor playing Percy Jackson, all power to them. I think they've done a fantastic job, and I have no doubt the show is going to be a smashing success. But you can't help but wonder, what if they did cast me? We could have been looking at the next Citizen Kane. And that's all I'm saying. It's just a bit of missed potential here. And yes, I'm clearly a bit disappointed. This is the second time I've been snubbed. The first time being when my performance in The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 didn't net me an Oscar nomination. I'm just really getting the sneaking suspicion Hollywood's not ready for my level of talent, and that's okay. They'll catch up at some point as our species continues to evolve. But the thing that I want to talk about here isn't the fact that I didn't get the role. I actually knew I didn't as early as last year. I made a follow-up video to my audition letting you all know that I didn't get the role. But what did surprise me today, and what I feel is outright wrong and borderline illegal, is the fact that Disney used my public audition tape, which I proudly posted for the world to see what true acting looks like, and I thought it'd be kind of like a victory lap and a teachable moment for all up-and-coming aspiring actors to, use me as a role model for acting prowess. I posted this on YouTube. I submitted it to Disney through the official channels as well, so they clearly got it, and they clearly watched it, because they used my exact lines in my audition for their official trailer. And, that's a load of dirty barnacles, I'll tell you what. I spent a long time choosing my monologue for that audition tape, and Disney just takes it and wipes their ass with it. I've had about enough. I've had it up to here, honestly, with all this tomfoolery in Hollywood, especially with Disney. Not only did they refuse me the role that I was meant to play, they also turned around and released cum hats. Actual Disney Bukkake helmet merch. Where does the madness stop, Disney? Have you no shame at all? And really, it's not just Disney. I'm tired of, the Hollywood elite not taking me seriously. They're just like, oh, let's fuck Charlie in the ass again. His butthole's loose enough to take it. Hardy har har. And I'm out here giving my all in these roles for these auditions, and I'm not getting any callbacks. But anyway, let me show you my audition compared to the official trailer, because it's jarring. The Percy Jackson trailer came out. I know, man, it's so painful. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm not in it. It's so painful. It should have been me.
Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood.
Oh, I even read this line.
It's dangerous.
No fucking way.
It's scary. Most of the time, it gets you killed.
I read that. They stole this from my audition tapes. What? I did that line so much better. I should have been the star! The other day... Where do I start? I think it's right here. I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you suspect you might be a half-blood, then this book... Okay, they cut this part. Just go ahead and close it and believe whatever lies your mom and dad told you about your birth. It's easier that way. Where does it pick up? Being a half-blood is dangerous. It's scary. Sometimes it gets you killed. It gets you killed in painful, nasty ways. That is so much better than that, kid. Why didn't I get the role? Literal chills. Maybe it's because I didn't shower before the audition. I'm super greasy here.
If you think you might be one of us, my advice is turn away while you still can. Believe whatever lie your mom or dad told you about your birth.
They stole this from my audition. They plagiarized my audition and didn't even cast me. Yes, I understand it's supposed to be played by a 12-year-old. That's the beauty of acting. I shave, I trim my hair a bit, perhaps, and bang. I'm 12 years old. And maybe a little de-aging AI tech. That was my line. If you suspect you might be a half-blood, then this book isn't for you. Just go ahead and close it and believe whatever. Listen to that emotion. Dad told you about your birth. Listen to this range. That way. Being a half-blood is dangerous. It's scary. Most of the time it gets you killed in painful, nasty ways. Oh my god, the emphasis there is nuts. Oh, unlucky. Disney just wasn't ready. Okay. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. They stole my line reading from my audition tape. And I guarantee this kid's not going to be as good at action as I am. Watch me fight this Hydra. Blast! It's great Poseidon's beard. It's the Hydra. Yeah. Yeah. I do my own stunts. Yeah. 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 See, like, this is outrageous. This kid's not going to be able to do that. That was my role. I was born to play that role. Now that I've presented the irrefutable evidence, I believe we can all come to the conclusion that Disney owes me an apology. And I'll settle for nothing less than a minor role in a major blockbuster production. Yeah, so, you know, it's a little fucked up they do this. I chose that line from a list of Percy Jackson's most famous quotes, and I called dibs. And you can't break the bro code like that. I've never read Percy Jackson. I never even watched the Percy Jackson movies. I actually don't know shit about the character at all. It just happened to be an open casting call that sounded like fun. And I killed it. I crushed that audition. I don't care what anyone says. I became Percy Jackson for a brief moment during that audition. Charlie left this realm, and the spirit of Percy Jackson came into this vessel and delivered some of the most powerful, hard-hitting lines and sword-fighting choreography video cameras have ever captured. And it's shocking they didn't choose me. So yeah, if that doesn't prove that Disney's corrupt, then truly nothing will. So yeah, anyway, I wanted to address this since a lot of people have been bringing it up. You know, Charlie, did you know you're not Percy Jackson? Yes, I'm well aware. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. So yeah. I've said for years now, one of the most evil companies on the planet is Disney. I imagine the board of directors is a who's who of supervillains. You probably got Mickey Mouse right next to Lucifer in that seat. It is always shocking to see just how low they'll stoop for the sake of a couple extra doubloons. They're like a real-world Umbrella Corp, but instead of manufacturing the T virus that turns people into zombies, they manufacture the D virus that turns people into Disney Defenders, where they'll always fight their PR battles for them and constantly empty their piggy bank for anything Disney slaps its fucking logo on. It's sickening, even when they are completely in the wrong. I've been following a story for the last couple days, and I imagine some of you have as well. It's a very sad story about a woman who had an allergic reaction and died after eating at a Disney Springs restaurant. And the holly jolly old assholes at Disney are arguing that because the husband signed up for a Disney Plus trial in 2019, he agreed to terms that would basically turn this lawsuit into toilet paper. To any sensible human being on the planet with a functioning frontal lobe, you're probably asking yourself, how does a Disney Plus trial at all have any grounds for this lawsuit when the allergic reaction happened at one of Disney's parks? It's not like his wife had an allergic reaction to the dog shit Disney Plus is feeding them. She passed away because of a complete failure from the restaurant. It is entirely their fault. So the couple chose to eat at a restaurant called Raglan Road Irish Pub, and they told the waiter that she had severe allergies to dairy and nuts, and she was unequivocally assured the food would be allergen-free, and they chose this restaurant because it is apparently very accommodating to people with allergies. So when the order arrived, there was no allergen-free flags, so they inquired again if it was allergen-free, and were once again assured that they were safe for her to consume. 45 minutes later, she had an allergic reaction, even asked for administering an EpiPen, she had difficulty breathing, collapsed, and later passed away. And the husband is rightfully trying to sue Disney for this because it is a colossal fuck up here. And Disney's just dancing on her grave. They're just spitting on her memory by trying to toss out the wrongful death lawsuit, by trying to say that the husband signed up for a Disney Plus account in 2019, which has language that prevents them from being sued in this manner. It'd have to be through arbitration, meaning it's overseen by a neutral third party and not a judge. And also, he had apparently agreed to similar terms when purchasing a park ticket online in September 2023. So this opened up a massive can of worms here about all of the sneaky, scummy shit companies sneak into their terms when you sign up for services or if you purchase things online. You know that shit that every human being on the planet skips through with agreeing to terms and conditions? Yeah, it turns out sometimes there's some really awful shit in there. I wanted to wait before talking about this because I've been talking to a lawyer about it because I was very curious if there is any legs at all for Disney to stand on here. But I just couldn't wait because I've already seen a couple of conversations about why it's entirely this couple's fault for gambling with their food allergies. The state of the world is so fucking saddening. How is it a gamble? So she was allergic to dairy and nuts, and this was made abundantly clear to the staff of a restaurant that is well known for being accommodating to allergies. Apparently this restaurant has a commitment to being very conscious of allergens. So they chose this restaurant for that reason and made it very clear multiple times that dairy and nuts were a problem. And they were assured multiple times that the food they had ordered was not going to pose any problems for that allergy. They did everything they could. That's not gambling, you absolute Cro-Magnon that are arguing that it's actually their fault, Disney's blameless. This is what I'm talking about with the D virus. People falling over themselves to try and take bullets for Disney. It is a fuck up from the restaurant and by extension, Disney. I know they have more money than God, but even still, this is such an outrageous claim to be making because signing up for a Disney Plus trial should have no effect on what happens at a Disney park. That's not related at all. It shouldn't extend to that. Just imagine if that was normal. Let's say you're on a Boeing flight and all the screws on the flight all of a sudden just spontaneously pop off like a water balloon exploding, and all of a sudden your plane just disassembles itself in the air and you die. Everyone dies on board because the Boeing flight malfunctions, as Boeing flights are known to do these days. Well, what if Boeing said, that's a real shame about that, but, you know, we can't be held liable for this because every single one of them, when purchasing their tickets online, agreed that no matter what happens, it's going to have to go to arbitration, so sorry about that, but really condolences. I am super confident that wouldn't work. You can't just have this blanket statement of, whatever happens, not our fault, and you agreed to it. See, you said right here, doesn't matter, you're fucked. Like, that can't work. And from what I've heard from a couple of lawyers that have talked about it online, as well as a couple conversations I've had, this doesn't really protect Disney, but this has become so common in contracts as a way of trying to weasel big corporations out of liability. But it's still scary because it does give them some leverage to fight on. It gives them an angle, and with the amount of money they can pour into defending themselves, it's going to make it very hard for normal people to fight back, even when Disney is 100% responsible for the tragedy that occurred. But at least Disney's very apologetic here. We're deeply saddened by the family's loss and understand their grief. Given that this restaurant is neither owned nor operated by Disney, we are merely defending ourselves against the plaintiff's attorney's attempt to include us in their lawsuit against the restaurant. They're fundamentally going, oh, we don't know those guys. They just use our land. We're kind of just like a landlord. We are not associated with those scoundrels over there at all. No, not us. Nope. You're coming after the wrong guy, bub. go after them. Not our fault. And if you do want to go after us, you can't really, because your Disney Plus free trial from 2019. Did you forget about that? Eek, sorry. Now, the lawyer representing the family called it absurd and preposterous, saying that the case is based on the incredible argument that any person who signs up for an account, even free trials that are not extended beyond the trial period, will have forever waived the right to a jury trial, which is pure insanity. And they also argue that Mr. Piccolo, the husband, agreed to the terms of use for himself, but he's now acting on behalf of his late wife, who never agreed to the terms, which I think is a really strong point. I think the lawyer is right here. His wife never signed up for the Disney Plus trial, thus she shouldn't be subjected to the fucking shackle and chains that apparently every Disney Plus subscriber is now succumbed to. The lawyer then goes on to say, the notion that terms agreed to by a consumer when creating a Disney Plus free trial account would forever bar that consumer's right to a jury trial in any dispute with any Disney affiliate or subsidiary is so outrageously unreasonable and unfair as to shock the judicial conscience. It really is exceptionally evil, and from what I've read here, it's not exclusive to Disney. So apparently there was even a time where they were going to get close to protecting consumers from this kind of shit with like these arbitration clauses that get snuck into contracts that you sign up for unknowingly, because it is unreasonable to expect anyone to read all 65 pages of every terms and condition for every service you sign up for. There's no human being on the planet that has the chutzpah to sit through and read all of that. But apparently that ruling that was going to protect consumers got fucked in Congress. So it's just, corporations really do operate on a different level than everything and everyone else. So no matter how much they are pushed to stop this shady shit, they can always pay their way out of it so it never actually sees the light of day and they can continue to do the scummiest things. Another quote here is, most of the companies in the U.S. require mandatory arbitration and allows them to, by and large, cut off much relief. Companies love it, but individuals who are harmed by these corporations really don't have any access to any form that would give them relief, as that's a real problem. It just limits consumers' options. It protects companies by fucking consumers in the face. The Supreme Court's view is, if you don't like it, don't sign it. Which is a super easy position to have for all the troglodytes in Supreme Court, because they're so ancient and archaic that these geriatric fossils don't sign up for anything or any service because they don't even know what a goddamn computer is. They're still learning about that mystical, magical thing called the cyberspace and the internet. So they don't even know what the fuck this is. All they need to know is what the corporations tell them they need to know. But every normal person in the world all has different services that they have to sign up for. I'm not talking about just like entertainment services. Like, no one needs to have like a Netflix account or anything, or a Epic Games account or something. But even just like, I remember 10 years ago when I was in my apartment, there was an online sign-up I had to do that had pages upon pages upon pages of terms and conditions. And I didn't read through all of them. I feel like most people don't read through all of them. Banking online, all types of services that are literally required for most normal people all have tons and tons of terms and conditions, and they are probably sneaking in some truly heinous shit. And this story right here helps shine a light on some of it and how unreasonable it is. And the Supreme Court saying, if you don't like it, don't sign up for it, is just, that's not realistic. It's just not at all. But yeah, anyway, this shit is super horrible. Disney super sucks. That's about it. See ya.